welcome to TAEF. We are very glad to have you as our visiting fellow. So we'd like to know more about you. Can you share with us your connection, first of all, with the Chinese study, your research area, and also with Taiwan?
So I'm Sana Hashmi. I'm a visiting fellow at Taiwan-Asia Exchange Foundation. I actually came as a Ministry of Foreign Affairs fellow, Taiwan fellow, and I was affiliated with Institute of International Relations, National Chengchi University. So how I began to study China. So I actually started work in a think tank even before I studied my studies in Chinese studies, and I actually started with Tibet. The name of the think tank was the Center for Air Power Studies. It's an autonomous think tank under the Indian Air Force. The focus was on China, People's Liberation Army. So China was a key focus country in that think tank. So that's how I thought that it would be nice for me to shift my focus from Tibet to China. But the thing is, when we talk about China, when we study China in India, we really don't talk about Taiwan. And my MPhil and PhD is in Chinese studies, and my PhD topic was China in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And throughout my MPhil and my PhD journey, we hardly learned about and talked about Taiwan. We just talked about Taiwan primarily from the One China policy perspective. Like when we were studying China foreign policy, but Taiwan as a subject, we really didn't study much about Taiwan.
After your PhD, you mentioned about working in a think tank, and I heard that you used to be a member of the MOFA in India.
I actually have always been working in think tanks. So first I interned at Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis. That's also a think tank which is funded by India's MOFA, Ministry of External Affairs. And then I started working with the Center for Air Power Studies, and I spent 4.5 years there. And I actually have a book from there. It was a part of my book project, and it was on China's territorial disputes, China's approach towards territorial dispute prospects and lesson. So after that, I went to India's Ministry of External Affairs as a consultant, and I worked on India's Act East policy, India's relationship with Southeast Asian countries, equation in the Indo-Pacific region. And I spent 3 years there after working with CAPS, and then I came to Taiwan after that.
And how about your connection with Taiwan? How did you learn about the fellowship?
Despite a lot of scholarships and fellowship for language and for studying IR in Taiwan, a lot of people weren't really aware about Taiwan, and so was the case with me as well. Then I knew a few people who came to Taiwan before. I started reading about Taiwan, and then I started engaging and interacting more with Taiwanese in India and Taiwanese officials in India. And that's how I got to know about this fellowship, and I applied for it, and I came here.
Is there any unforgettable memory or any event that you think, wow, this is quite a remarkable moment of your life?
I actually can't pinpoint because every day I'm learning something new. I'm pretty happy with my life in Taiwan, and it's just not because of my research and my work, but also because of the people here. I think I have such good friends in Taiwan. People here are extremely wonderful, and they go out of their way to help you. So one memorable moment would be, I think, my birthday. I had a party for my friends, and I didn't know when everyone came. And then, how do I have so many friends in Taiwan? This is what I really like about Taiwan, that everyone just comes along. And everyone's trying to help you out. You never feel out of place when you are in Taiwan. So I really, I know I'm just here. I have been here for just 14 months, but I already feel at home. So, yeah.
As TAEF is focusing on New Southbound Policy, we would like to know about your opinion regarding this regional policy of Taiwan. Do you think that it has been doing very well, or some parts of it can be improved?
This is actually unprecedented. Before President Tsai Ing-wen government, the focus was primarily on the Western world and reducing dependence on China, and somewhat on Southeast Asia with the Go South policy. So I think this is actually unprecedented that Taiwan has this policy and framework to engage and to look towards and reach out to countries in the South Asian region, specifically India. India is a key country for the New Southbound Policy. We really have to acknowledge that it has been in existence for the past 5 years, and at least there is a framework. I see a lot of statements by President Tsai Ing-wen and also Foreign Minister Joseph Wu and other officials about New Southbound Policy and how important the country is under the framework of the New Southbound Policy is. So I think this is a positive development, and we really have to emphasize on this, that Taiwan has a policy towards South Asian countries. Before this, all these countries weren't really figured in Taiwan's traditional foreign policy thinking. But I think since it's people-centric policy, more focus should be on people. More people should be on strengthening people-to-people ties. And also, if I may talk about my own experience as a researcher, so I'm the only Indian scholar in Taiwan who's focusing and who's working on Taiwan foreign policy. So I think it's very important that we need to have more and more engagement between scholars from Taiwan and India. So maybe more scope for Indian studies or New Southbound Policy studies in Taiwan, or Taiwan studies in India. And maybe Taiwan could have a New Southbound Policy scholarship or fellowship.
I saw your participation in a conference, I think with India. It was quite interesting that your topic was about extended quad. Can you tell us more about your analysis on this point?
I don't advocate for Taiwan's direct participation in the quadrilateral dialogue, but what I advocate for is Taiwan's greater participation in the Indo-Pacific region. So Taiwan has suffered for a very long time because China is trying to shrink Taiwan's international space. So what we need to do is, and all these like-minded countries, and not just these 4 countries, but ASEAN member states, as well as Germany and other European countries that have embraced the Indo-Pacific construct. So I believe all these countries need to find a way to include Taiwan, because what we saw last year was, we were in this middle of the pandemic and Taiwan's contribution was immense, and how Taiwan handled pandemic, I think it was very important for countries to learn from Taiwan's best practices and learn from Taiwan COVID-19 model. But just because Taiwan wasn't a part of the WHO or any other high-level meeting and discussion, I think countries were deprived of learning from Taiwan's best practices. So I think for reasons like these, and of course engaging Taiwan is mutually beneficial, not just in the health sector, but in a variety of sectors. So I believe that it's very important that Taiwan's inclusion and participation in different meetings within the framework of the Indo-Pacific is promoted and advocated by these countries. I also think it's just one of the mechanisms under the framework of the Indo-Pacific. So there are other ways as well. So also we really don't have to look at something which is going to provoke China or going to intensify China-Taiwan tension, because this is not in the interest of Taiwan as well as the countries that have been embracing the Indo-Pacific. But what I believe is that these 4 countries really need to talk about Taiwan within the framework of the quadrilateral dialogue. They really need to have Taiwan in their agenda. I think this is going to help.
As you are a visiting fellow, we are curious about what are your objectives of your research here at TAEF?
I'm really happy that I'm with TAEF. As I've mentioned, that TAEF is the only think tank in Taiwan that focuses on the New Southbound Policy and Taiwan's relation with the Asian countries. Then second is that I'm writing a book on India and Taiwan relation under the framework of the New Southbound Policy. It's important that we have more and more publications so that we have some reference point to talk more about Taiwan and to shape the narrative about Taiwan. But apart from my own research, I think also an advocate of India-Taiwan relations as well as amplifying Taiwan's voice. I have been advocating for this and I have used my social media accounts for that. So I think me being in Taiwan is also very important for generating awareness about Taiwan in India. It shouldn't be happening at the government level or at the higher level. I think it's all our duties as well. Last year, I think around May or June, I was in Ningxia Market. It's such a beautiful place, but Indians don't know anything about Taiwan. I should just post about this night market, and I just made a post. My post got a lot of attention, and since then I don't know how many messages I have got on Twitter and emails that thank you for doing that, because before this we didn't know anything about Taiwan. And I get a lot of messages inquiring about Taiwan, inquiring about fellowship, scholarship. A lot of Indians are interested in coming to Taiwan. So I think I played a small role, but I think small steps matter, and this is what we all should do. See, I think it's very important for Indian and Taiwanese scholars to engage each other and to talk to each other so that we know what are the priorities of India and what are the priorities of Taiwan. But it would be nice if I get to meet scholars who are specifically focusing on the New Southbound Policy or Taiwan's relationship with Asian countries. So I think it would be important for me to get their perspective on Taiwan's New Southbound Policy and Taiwan's outlook on Asia. It's a very difficult question, but I think I have spent all my life in New Delhi, but I think Taipei is like Delhi. Taipei is home now. Its second home is my adopted city, and Taiwan has also embraced me like I have embraced Taiwan. Oh no, I love all the festivals. I participate in all the Indian festivals, and we are going to have a Holi celebration in Taipei as well, and I'm very excited about that. And I also participated in Dragon Boat Festival. That was very tiring. Didn't even win. I'm pretty sad about that, but I enjoyed. I enjoy all the festivals equally. I'm a festival person. This is the most difficult, I think,
really?
of all. No, but I don't have to choose. I love masala chai, and I can't start my day without having chai. And Oolong chai, I think it's for evening. So masala chai for me is for morning, Oolong is for evening. So I can't really choose. Both are amazing. As a researcher, as an academician, what I want to say is that for countries that haven't been really proactive towards Taiwan, is that it's mutually beneficial to engage Taiwan, and no country and no policy maker and no scholar should see Taiwan as a card against China, but it's mutually beneficial to engage Taiwan, and it's very important that countries look at Taiwan that way. Also, President Tsai Ing-wen has said it several times, and last time I heard her saying this at Yushan Forum last year, that Taiwan helps Asia and Asia helps Taiwan. So it's a very important message from President Tsai Ing-wen. I think as a researcher and as a scholar, what I want to tell other scholars is that it's very important that we come up with practical solutions so that the solutions are easily achievable and mutually beneficial to both Taiwan and India.